What's up, everybody? It's JC and Rich with Stoner Car Care. We are super excited and humbled to be here at the TRCMA show. We wish we could be with you there in person, but instead we are coming to you from our studio in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We wish we could be there live, however, due to some unforeseen circumstances.
Had untimely emergency knee surgery, so unfortunately it's preventing me from flying out there, but we're still gonna make it happen. So we're here in our studio. We wanna talk about some of our iron removers. We have a new one out as well. We've done a ton of research, we gathered a bunch of feedback, and we've done some really in-depth, detailed analysis of how this stuff works at the microscopic level that we'd love to share with you guys. So stick along with us as we jump into that.
So to get started on how we learned more and more about this iron remover technology across the board and how it really works, we wanted to see it working at the level of the iron. So we invested in some technology with our R&D team to really get down to the surface level of what's going on. So what we're gonna do is gonna show a video that we shot in our lab to get down to the surface. I think up to some of the shots were up to 2000x magnification to see what's actually happening at the surface level. So we put this video together to show you what's going on, and we'll talk over that.
So when we were talking about this video, we really wanted to see how the iron removers are working down at the microscopic level, and are they removing all of the iron, or what is the method for that, getting the iron off of your vehicle? So starting that off, we had to go and find a vehicle that we knew had iron on it. So we went, tested this panel at a junkyard, pulled this off of the van, and then we took it back to our workshop here, and I protected it. And to prevent from having any of those hot sparks ending up on the paint, while we did test that as well, you can definitely tell which one's a fresh spark because it's fresh metal, it doesn't have any kind of oxidation on it. We wanted to keep that out of the samples to have the best possible testing for this.
Real life, so it's a real life scenario.
Exactly. So what we did is we put painter's tape over top of there, even had some clear plastic wrap to kind of protect and keep those hot sparks from hitting that painted surface, and just try and make our sample sets just a little bit cleaner. So as you see in the video here, we're cutting that panel off of the door there, and then we cut it into small manageable sizes that we can put underneath a microscope. So we took them back into our lab here, and we covered up the edges there just so we don't have sharp metal just scraping up our lab team here. And we labeled each one so that way we knew which one was dirty, which one we've cleaned. And we're just gonna take a quick peek under the microscope here and show you that's what a dirty panel looks like. No car wash at all, right off the street. It probably hasn't been washed in a few years. This is a completely unwashed sample. So as you can see, there's plenty of dirt particles on there, all kinds of who knows what that's been, whatever that van has come in contact with. Now this wash sample, we've washed about as well as you can possibly wash a car. We had it washed with a waterless wash, scrubbed down real well. Then we hit it with an all-purpose cleaner, so we did like a high pH wash to it to kind of get any kind of dirt or debris or anything off of there. Then we came through finally with a tar and sap remover just to make sure we had all kinds of sap, tar, that kind of thing completely wiped off of that surface panel and make sure we have a clean panel to start with. So what was kind of surprising for many is even after you've done this 3-step washing process here and you think your car is clean, and honestly from a naked eye it kind of looks clean. When you put that under the microscope, there's a lot more to the story there. So while that looks like a clean panel, when you put that under the microscope, you'll see there's still contaminated, like embedded iron on those panels. So that's what we're trying to do when we go after these iron particles. We're trying to target those with the iron remover and remove that. It is very hard to see with your naked eye, but super easy to see under a microscope.
I think this is important to point out. People will see a clean car, and you'll see a lot of the detailers will actually go to like the feel method. Like you can feel that there's still contaminants. You can feel that dirt there. So as you can see with those panels, you got to a very clean from your eye level panel. Under the microscope, you can kind of see what people are feeling when you rub it over a dirty panel. And really what we were trying to do there, as Rich said, is remove anything other than things that were actually embedded into that clear coat. So the only things left, not all of these things were iron, but a high percentage of them were iron.
So what we're looking at here is that panel that's been thoroughly cleaned at 50 times magnification. You can see all those things that you would typically feel on your paint after it's been fully cleaned. Now, as you'll notice that we've applied the iron remover to this, and it's starting to bleed orange in all the spots where there are ferrous metals or the iron particles onto that surface. So when we zoom out there quickly, we can make a quick pause at that spot and it'll show what that looks like to the naked eye. While that was just a drop of iron remover on there, it reacted in all those spots, but while you look at it at 50 times, you can see all the individual spots of where it's reacting at.
So now zoomed into 2000x, you can actually see what's going on at the surface of an individual piece of iron. And what's happening really is the whole piece isn't dissolving. You can kind of see the orange going in and out as it's dissolving and indicating, but just that exterior of that piece is starting to get broken down. And every once in a while you can see like a bubble form up and run to the surface. That very exterior surface is starting to get dissolved to help kind of dislodge that piece. Yeah, you can start to see some of the fragments kind of fly off there. So again, this is a individual piece. Now we're zoomed in even more to see some of the bubble action on the perimeter, and then zooming back out. So kind of really showing what's going on at that microscopic level.
Now this part I want to show when you use a clay bar, how that mechanical step really helps take that iron particle that the edges are dissolved and break that free from where it's embedded. Now we put a piece of clay bar onto that scrubber there, and we just went through and scrubbed it using the clay or using the iron remover as a clay lubricant. And as you can see, as we rinse that clean versus the spot that hasn't been rinsed, hasn't been clay barred, it is able to just get a completely clean surface with no embedded particles whatsoever.
And then here what we're setting up, we're not necessarily just comparing to our own. This is a phenomenon that happens across this class of products. So all iron removers are working functionally in the same way. So the indication works a little bit differently with what's on the market versus our product. However, the functional action on the iron is the same. So that edge out dissolving of the iron to loosen it is how that's working. And what we're going to show here with that recommended time frame of dwell time is none of these products on the market, we're not saying they're bad, but none of them on the market work without that contact step, that clay bar step that we did in the demo that Rich talked about. None of them work without that. So we had a rinse. So you see these are rinsing clean. This is basically simulating the wash down after you use the iron remover. And then we are going to reapply the same iron remover on that panel. And you'll see, yes, they make it better, but they are not removing all of the embedded iron. So you need both steps at that level to truly get that panel clean.
Yeah, and just to reiterate there how you said they don't work, while they may be indicating and they may be dissolving particles, to go from a panel that has iron on it to a panel that has no iron on it, really the only way to guarantee that is a two-part cleaning, chemical clean with the iron remover and a mechanical clean with a clay bar. That's going to get you down to a bare surface with no embedded particles in it.
Yep. And then that last shot that we just showed was actually a time lapse over, I think it was like 12 hours of an iron particle in iron remover dissolving for 12 hours. And what you see is there's essentially no major functional structural change of that piece of iron. So what that means is these iron particles are not being dissolved. The edge is being attacked, so it helps loosen it. So you go back to Rich, I think originally came up with this demo. We were talking to I'm Josh V. The iron nail in a piece of wood, and you can use the clay bar to buzz it off, and then you need the clay bar to help loosen the rest what's in there. You need both steps for this to function and work. We actually replicated this test with just phosphoric acid, and again, overnight, that is not going to dissolve your iron. So anything you're putting on your clear coat for 3 to 5 minutes is not going to be doing what I think the perception has been that it's doing. You need both steps.
It's essentially just like when you're going through an automatic car wash and one that's touchless. If you go through with a filthy car, it comes out and it's just chemically cleaning it. It's not scrubbing in any way. Your car comes out the other side. It may be cleaner, but you can still see your car's dirty. It's going to be a similar situation with the iron removal step. But you go through a regular car wash, and your car might be clean, but then you might also be scratched if it's touching the car. So in an ideal situation, you need to have the chemical and the mechanical step and as much lubrication as you can to prevent scratching. to get the optimal results where the car is perfectly clean and free of debris, which is really important if you're trying to put any kind of ceramic coating and get good bonding or any kind of surface protection you're looking to do in your vehicle.
So now that we saw that happens at the microscopic level, we're going to jump to a video of using this door as our demo in the real life. So we're going from that microscopic, what's going on in your clear coat, to what happens in the real world when you're actually doing an iron removal process on your car. Today we're going to do just a dedicated paint decontamination odorlessly with our new products. We're going to explore both our traditional indicating iron remover that turns orange in the presence of metal ions and our brand new, just released indicator-free version. That's going to be for those of you who are doing this on the road and mobile and might have that unsealed concrete, because as we've pointed out, there is some risk of staining with unsealed concrete. So if you're going to be spraying or cleaning or detailing around that, we're going to recommend you using the indicator-free version, but both have the same active ingredient to remove, dissolve, help lubricate that iron off of your paint without the indicator. So what we're going to do with this panel is we are going to prep it with an all-purpose cleaner. We're going to wash it with a contact wash, and then we're going to go over this whole panel with our iron remover. Then for half of this panel, we are going to use our contact with either a clay bar or a clay mitt to really get that deep clean, again, in that one step. And then we're going to go back over this with a traditional iron remover to show you what's left on when there's not that abrasion. And that's really going to get us to explain and understand that the iron is both exposed on the outside and embedded. And so you need the iron remover and mechanical to truly decontaminate safely, effectively, easily, and with Stoner's product without any stink. So since diving into this iron remover technology, what we found is there's just as many techniques as there are people who are doing iron removal. Everybody's got their own little niche way of doing it. A lot of people like to spray iron remover on the panel directly on a dirty car. Something just rolls into the shop, they hose it down with iron remover. Looks great because all the colors pop out, but really there's a lot of non-iron abrasive things on that surface that you're gonna agitate. So we always recommend doing a normal wash first. And you'll see in our videos, you saw in our live video, we basically do an all-purpose clean like a prep soap, then we do a wash, and in the video we even did a Terminator. For today, we're just gonna do all-purpose cleaner and then a contact wash to get any additional abrasives and dirt off. So the only things that should be left on here are kind of embedded contaminants, including those that are kind of ferrous materials that'll indicate with iron. Ready to use all-purpose cleaner and our RK sprayer for our prep wash. We'll let it go for a minute. Moab. From the smell of it, it's green apple, which I love. So for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to spray this half with a traditional iron remover, one of the ones you're used to it, you know the smell, it's going to turn purple, but we're not trying to rag on it, so we're not showing you what we're using or who we're using. The products all work fairly well. Our differentiator is odor, so we're not looking to rag on them. So we're going to spray this half with the purple, we're going to spray the left side with our product, do the contact, and then come back over the entire panel to show you that you need both steps to really work. This half, then, we're going to use our original iron remover before we do our contact. So we've let these sit for a couple minutes. Again, there's no denying purple shows up more dramatically than our orange, but both of these are clearly indicating the iron particulates. And if you want to be Insta famous and have it look great, that's fine, but it genuinely stinks in here because of this, and now my shoes are somewhat ruined. And this is still doing the right job. So this is still decontaminating. So we're gonna take a clay mitt, add a couple more sprays of our iron remover. And again, this is doing two things. It's putting more of the active on there, but it's also got quite a bit of lubrication in here that we can use to decontaminate this panel. And basically you're just doing the same thing you do with a clay bar or clay mitt that you traditionally do. And this is basically incorporating a mechanical clean alongside of the chemical clean to really get both the surface and the below the surface embedded metal particulates and other items that are kind of into your clear coat. And as you're doing this, you can actually tactically feel your paint getting cleaner and smoother like you do when you use a clay bar. So we're gonna rinse both of these off. So now we're gonna show you the difference of what happens with a chemical and mechanical versus a straight chemical. We're gonna go back over with that original kind of traditional style iron remover to show whatever differences there are. I will tell you already from just tactically being here with the paint, there's no comparison. So this feels like a clayed smooth surface like you would expect with a clay mitt. This side obviously is much cleaner than it was when we started. However, there's no comparison. The whole replacing clay with just a chemical, that really doesn't prove itself out. And you're gonna see more of that in the chemistry and the science behind this next week. But these are two very different panels, even physically touching them and being prepared to be decontaminated. If you're gonna do an additional step with polishing, this one's much closer to being ready for that. And then we'll see what the iron looks like. So as you can see, with one pass of the treatment with mechanical, we have a significantly cleaner panel on this side, on this left side of the car door. And you know, the right side without that mechanical is still lighting up extremely well, indicating there's still a lot of metal embedded in that clear coat. Again, this is primarily done for prep for your next polish or correction. You could either go over this again with your iron remover and your clay mitt or your clay bar, or you can move into your polish step, which is also gonna help get those contaminants out as well. But you can see the point of this was you need both to make that difference. And although it's not perfect, it's significantly better than we were with just the chemical. With, again, our competitor, we're not hating on it. This is just gonna happen with all the iron removers. And you'll see more about that, again, next week in the science video. So what we're gonna do just to finish this thing out, we're gonna spray again with our indicator-free version just to save our noses a little bit. Go over the whole panel again, hit it with our clay mitt, and then try to see what happens when you're on 2 wipes with this side and then your first contact wash again with this, just to bring it back. And we'll do one final wipe to indicator to see where we are after that step of the process. So as you can see, as we had hoped and expected, now that this side has been done twice, it is almost completely removed. You can still see a couple spots here. I'm gonna put that mostly on user error, making sure we get the even coating. But now that this has had the contact mechanical wash and the chemical, it's significantly cleaner. But again, because it's only done one time, it's still a little bit more indicating than the side closest to me. So as you can see, you need both mechanical and chemical to truly decontaminate your paint. A product like this, you can do that without the stinky odor. It's got the lubrication involved, so you can basically do this in one step and get to a decontaminated clear coat as fast, safely, and stink-free as possible. So really, when you look at those two videos, we look at the microscopic level, what's happening with the iron mover and the iron particles, and then the real-world application, we get the deeper learning what's going on with iron movers. None of the iron movers on the market, including ours, including Stoner's, none of them actually dissolve the entire iron particle. What they're doing is just starting to break down that outer layer of the iron particle so that it loosens it to allow a mechanical step to loosen it. You need both the mechanical and the chemical to get that deep, clean iron remover, regardless of what type of you're using. Our cell here basically is, ours does that with a non-odor, a non-stinky version. The sacrifice is, and we're still working on this, is that orange indication isn't as dramatic as the purple. However, no odor with our product, but you need both steps regardless. And that's, again, because of some of that feedback that pushed us to get deeper.
Yeah, I thought you had a pretty good demo of how you explained it with like an ice cube tray. If you want to kind of explain kind of the ice being that iron particle, if you wouldn't mind jumping.
Yeah, so, and I think I kind of got that idea from your nail in the wood idea. But what's happening, if you think about getting an ice cube tray right out of the freezer and holding it upside down, it's like kind of like the Dairy Queen demo. If you hold it upside down, it stays in that tray. The iron remover chemistry is literally just like pouring warm water on the back of that tray, because then just that very outer layer of the ice melts and they'll start falling out. That's really what's happening at the surface level. But you need that clay bar or a clay mitt to come through and then grab that particle to dislodge it, because it's still going to want to stay in there, even with a pressure wash, high pressure spray. We've gone over that. Hit it with the indicator again, and it's going to show that iron is still there. You need both steps.
So it's really going in, dissolving the edges of that iron particle, and kind of breaking that bond with the paint, and allowing it to be then picked up with a clay bar and removed completely, not just leaving behind or shaving off the top of it.
Yeah. For that best stage of clear coat to get to your next step. So again, typically you're going to be doing some polishing step, some paint correction step, some kind of sealant or ceramic step. To get that best prep, you need the iron remover chemistry and the mechanical working together to prevent any damage or marring.
All right, through all this, we really appreciate everyone's feedback. That's really helping us get to this point of like driving us to do all that more research in the lab, seeing what the true cause and how this stuff's really working down at the molecular level. Because without those people, everyone making YouTube videos, giving us comments, calling into our customer service, letting us know what their personal feedback is on it, we really can't test this stuff enough in lab or in our real world until it gets out to thousands of different people and everyone has their own situation where they've used it. So thank each and every one of you for all the feedback you've given us, and you push us to grow. I want to thank the whole TRCMA crew, like Levi, Anthony, Dane, Gabe. I really appreciate everyone there at the Rag Company. Josh, sorry, I know I'm forgetting some, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys for the opportunity to have us on here today. Again, we're sorry we're going to be there in person, but we're going to be happy to have a live Q&A session here, starting with JC and I in the future right now. So we're going to jump forward to that. If you have any questions on what we're said here today, grill us on that. We would love to hear each and every one of your questions. All they do is help us grow. We're looking forward to next year, and we'll see you guys in a few moments here.
Yeah, thank you.